Yep. Definitely, definitely. Monitoring everything. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, Sugar, are you hearing us good?
I'm hearing you perfect.
Definitely better than last night. That's what we're talking about. We back. Got a second night to all our viewers and subscribers. Welcome down, welcome down, welcome down. You know the vibes, you know the shrips. Tonight, definitely we continue the whole scene from last night. You know the topic, you know what I mean. So
Yes, we want to say thank you guys. This is our first welcome down to Leon, Shawndel&Leon. I'm used to
yeah,
put it
she
the
named
man
Blago
first,
first.
but in this world, it's the woman's first. So Shawndel&Leon's first podcast on YouTube, and we are super excited. Thank you for everybody for tuning in. So whether you're watching this live and then you're watching it on a recap, we want to say thank you for tuning in. So definitely, we want to say thank you to our special guest, Lady K.
Up in the building.
Our
Yep. I'm proud of you guys. So thank you for letting me be a part of the first podcast. I love to be a part of the first.
listen, that is just crazy, right? Like
Yeah.
how things always work. And when I thought of this topic, I called Keisha. I was like, babe, we need to do a show and we need to talk about this. And Carmen, the boss lady, she says she's going to log in a minute. And but the topic for tonight is, if you die cheating, do you deserve a funeral? But it's a two-part to that as well, because there's situations in life that happens and make me always think of something,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean?
Yep.
And we're always, I think like social media now makes us glorify so much of the bad things, but we can use the bad things and highlight them and bring solutions to people. So that is what I want you guys to take away from our podcast is, even though things happen, it's like, how do we help someone else so that it don't happen to them, but at the same time we giving people solutions, real solution for their life, to really have a good life and have a better life. So
Right. Using those things as teachable moments because, we are everything, whether it's a negative or a positive, we can find a teachable moment in it. And I think that's exactly what you did. You found a teachable moment. That's a great topic, that pivots off into other topics. I know, what you're going to talk about. So it's going to be a very good show tonight, and it's going to be filled with a lot of information that we may not even think about on a day-to-day basis, but this whole situation has made us look at things just a little bit differently.
a little different, definitely, because when I saw it, and will you guys give you a little bit of what
Yep.
it is. It was a young lady. This is a scene that happened in Guyana, and they first showed a video where she jumped out of a hotel. So what happened in the story was, she was with a man and the man died. So when the man died, she got scared and she jumped out the window. But the reason why she jumped out the window and she left the man there was because it was her neighbor's husband. Okay, so she said when she saw it, she was afraid. So the first thing you do, you panic. You know what I mean? And she ran. So not only was she facing a murder charge, right? But at the same time, here it is a married man, you know, so it's not just like, just a man. Then on the other aspect of it was, she was, so it's not just like a one night thing, okay? She was dating she was seeing this man for 4 years. So it's a whole different scenario on top of that. Okay. So when I saw that, it bothered me. So what bothered me was not so much that he died, but it was just, one, she was the neighbor, and two, it was 4 years. right? So it was like a conscious decision that we make for our lives. And sometimes when we follow the bad path, that bad path leads to consequences. And the consequences that it leads to sometimes it's not always good, you know? So we've all made mistakes and we've all went, so it's not a blame game or you know like throwing blame at anyone, right? Because we all made choices in life, but we clean it up, or sometimes we have a chance to fix it, but some people don't, right? And the next part of it is I had a friend of mine that she was living, so this is on the single side now, okay? And how this is where Carmen the Boss Lady comes in, because it's women, or I should say even men. You're with a significant other and you're not married to that person, and that person dies, right? So who is left to pay for that funeral? So what happened to in this young lady's case was they were doing everything as a married couple, but they weren't legally married on paper. So what happened was the family took every asset that he had. And the only thing she walked away was one paycheck, 1 week's paycheck, because they were having their paychecks going to one account. That's where they were paying doing everything like a married couple. So here she is, she walk away. The family could have said, and this is my opinion, um, let us give her something, but she walked away with nothing. So that is what I had posted on Facebook, and I said, because I didn't even think about it. If you're not legally married to someone, can you have and you're living as a married couple, can you have a life insurance policy on them? So I tagged Carmen in it, and she was like, yes, you can, but she's going to give us, she always say, pass them to me. And she said,
Mhm.
I said, I want to do a show and we want to talk about it because it's real situation. And I know many women in that situation that have children with men and they're not married to them. You know what I mean? But I know if something was to happen, where do you stand? Where are you left holding? So goes back to one of the things that we're gonna ask is that married man that was died cheating, does his wife owe him a funeral? You know, because it's a really, if you die on natural causes, but I never even thought about that, right? Like I never even thought about that, but that came to me like, hmm, would I want to give him a funeral? You know? And then when you find out all of the details, do you owe that person a funeral? So, Keisha, what's your thought on that?
So this topic, is it I can go so many different ways with it. First of all, not only when you talk about the single life, as someone who's had more than one husband, and have a child with one and no children with the other, what happens? And I like when Carmen had posted in on a Facebook is that you have to have a mutual interest. And what people don't realize is that once you get that mutual interest, is no reason that you have to stop paying on that policy. So once you own that policy and you've gotten that consent is not something that they come back to me and say, do I want to renew that consent? All I have to do is make sure when that premium needs to be paid, it's coming out my account. So that's the first thing. A lot of times we get mad and divorced and we do stupid things like stop paying on those policies, and then something happens, and then where's the money coming from to bury that person? And I feel like even though the guy was cheating, absolutely he deserves a funeral. Absolutely, I do not support in cheating. It's a non-negotiable for me. However, I cannot say that for me personally, his first of all, the wife already knew, so let's just be real. If it's been going on for 4 years, there's no way in this God's green earth that she didn't know, and you ladies know we know. So she kept rocking with it that way, knowing it. So for me, I would have made sure that he was covered under some insurance policy, which I also find the differences between being born in America and being born in the Caribbean because I've lived in both. It's pretty natural for us as American people to have life insurance policies. That's not something in my experience that's automatically natural for Caribbean people, and then they have to go and get up this money. So not understanding what her position is as far as finances, if she's having to raise this money, yeah, I would be a little bit pissed off having to raise this money because he done had a heart attack from doing whatever he doing with old girl. But old girl would need to be working to help raise this money too because she done got the benefit of him for 4 years.
Yeah, she
So
got it.
that's my take.
So, Carmen, what's your take on it?
Oh my gosh, sometimes you just have to laugh at some story, at some things. You just got to laugh because that's life.
Mhm.
Um, Speaking as a woman, and if this was all public like this, um, I don't know. I don't know that I could find the strength in me to have a funeral. He might be cremated.
Right.
I don't know if he's having a
Yeah.
service. He might just get cremated. There's cost to being cremated as well, but that might be what is going to happen unless he has a family. Like if he has a mother and sister and brother, and they want to plan the funeral, if they got money to bury him, then yeah. And then it also depends on everything.
Mhm.
Yeah, this man was cheating for 4 years, but did he make allowances for the family, right? It was were we suffering this whole time that we were married? I don't know how long they were married.
Right.
Was I suffering this whole long time while we were married, and then you didn't make any provisions for if you died or whatever, and now you die cheating, and it's all in the wide world for everybody to see? I don't know if you get no. I know for sure I ain't doing it. That's I know. You better hope you got some family that's gonna help you. And if you had like a burial policy, so insurance policies, you got so many different types, right? So if you
Hmm.
just had like a burial policy or something like that, and I still got children to take care of or whatever, he may get some of the money for cremation. But
Hmm.
I'm not going there and being the woohoo wife. I might not even go to no funeral. I'm sorry. What am I? What am I?
And
So
But
Shondell,
that's
when you
just
say
me. I'm a
Carmen,
lovely
when,
book.
Carmen, when you say funeral, so in my when I think about it, and I'm glad you said that because when you say funeral, in my mind, I mean, does he deserve a proper burial? And so that is two different things. The whole show with the 9 night and all that, no, he ain't getting it. Period. But as far as burying him, yeah, I'll get. He deserves to be buried. I mean, all of our time wasn't sour, right? There were some sweet times, and unfortunately it played out in public because of social media. It was public knowledge, but at the end of the day the people in the village already knew they was cheating. You can't tell me that wasn't already known for 4 years. So it's like now as the wife or the grieving wife, you I would do less as possible, like you said, if we have children together, to make sure that my children were solid. But at the end of the day, I still chose to marry that man. So it was something about him that was good. And I just believe that judgment is not up to me. Everybody don't believe in God or the universe or whatever. I do. And I just feel like for me personally, how would I want to be treated? And I know my sisters always say, well, you wouldn't have given them the reason to treat you that way. Yeah, that could be true, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, when I go to whatever, meet my maker, whoever I got to meet, I want to do that with a clear conscience. And if I've been rocking with you and you just got caught and you dead, I'm going to make sure you're in the ground because I got to think about, like you said, the mother. His mother didn't deserve, his mother ain't do it. So why wouldn't I help her? And if we have kids together, what about the
It all
kids?
depends though. What if she was evil? What if she was an evil? What if she was an evil mother-in-law? What if all the you know the woman they, he might have been evil, the mother might have been evil, they
The
all
whole
might have been
family.
evil. I ain't burying him.
Well, you
This is
got that.
really,
You
really
got that.
Give us a thumbs
situational.
up as you check in, people.
Yeah, definitely give us a thumbs up. Definitely share the live tonight. And I like that you guys are being so honest and everybody's being so candid with it. And it's a funny situation, but it's also a sad situation, And I laugh, but at the same time, like I'm like Carmen, it's gonna be rough. And like I said, when I thought about it, because I know me as a wife, right? So, and I'm gonna answer Keisha's question when, and it's just my opinion of it when you said you don't you didn't know. Sometimes, especially I think like older women, especially Guyanese women, they're so loyal and so committed to certain things that they don't see, or don't want to see, right? And I don't want to. And a lot of times what happen is with wives or women, they blame themselves, right? Or we think that something is wrong with us, so we settle for certain situations or certain things, so we don't have a voice. And I know that there's certain women that don't have a voice in their marriage, and because their man is a husband, or they like, especially dealing with a Caribbean man, they don't have a voice. So even though they man do something like, yo, I'm going out, you don't ask me no question, I coming back, that type of situation. So the wife was saying that the husband used to talk bad. He was said he would go to these places or whatever, and he go and get this. He paid $2,000 to get this done, this with this, because it's an older couple, right? So, but at the same time, he used to talk bad about the neighbor, right? He used to say, "Oh, this," but then he used to talk bad about the wife to the young lady as well. So in a situation like that, that is why I said it will be hard for me to give him a funeral. You understand? If the kids want to give him a funeral, they can, but for me to
Mhm.
be there, I'm like, Carmen, it's gonna take a lot. I don't think I will show up. And that's just my honest opinion in that situation, especially if I know that I was loyal and committed to that marriage and never did anything to violate that marriage. So that's the difference in it. We all get mistakes and make mistakes and stuff like that. But we know that there are men that feel because they are men, and we're gonna let fire, chime in, right?
Yeah, because I want to
I
know,
really want to hear you.
Yeah,
They
Fire, we gotta hear you, cause
I said,
Shawndel,
men.
when you say
Again in space,
Shawndel being
it's
loyal,
again in space, Pluto again.
no, Fire, you
I
gotta
see.
chime in. But when you say being
Yeah,
loyal to the man, Shawndel, right?
Mhm.
And the point about the funeral. So let's take the service out of it, cause when let's take the whole preacher church out of it, and we just talk about a pure burial of that man. Are you saying that you wouldn't even participate or put any money towards laying that man to rest just because of this indiscretion? Because I just feel like you know me, I challenge both sides. I challenge the narrative that I'm telling myself, because every day I want to be a better version of Kay. And in this situation, I can see both sides. I can see how the wife would feel less than and not want to be a part of any kind of public funeral, because she's feeling like the public is just like every all eyes on her. And then I can see where the girlfriend wouldn't want to be a part of a public funeral either, all eyes on them. But does that mean you don't lay me to rest?
Um, you know me, I said this, and I'm driving and I'm thinking about this. I said, I'm gonna wake him up out of the dead, and then I'm a killer.
Ah.
So he got to die 2 times, right? So, and the reason why I said that, because I was like, now if he's a good provider and a good husband, of course it's gonna be a hard thing. You know what I mean? Because like I said, and it's not glorified cheating or anything like that. We know men cheat for no reason, right?
Right.
Let's just be honest, okay? You can be the best wife and doing everything, and it's not gonna mean anything, and it's just something for them. So at the same time, if he was a mean husband, now let's be honest, There's some out there, but you stay committed to that, hoping they will change. And I think that's the situation to where you would think of if you would want to give him a burial. You understand? I think, like I said, I would raise him out of the dead and then just kill him again. It's just, right. So everybody,
So listen,
mm-hmm. Go ahead,
so
Carmen.
listen. Keisha, I'm going to tell you, you're a better woman than me. You are a better woman than me. And although I'm trying to be a better version of myself, um, I don't. you- Maybe if the burial would have take place a year later, maybe I would have calmed down or something like that.
Not
But
a
when
whole
the
year,
burial has
Carmen.
to be in a week or something like that, I'm not going to be. I'm sorry. I'm not. I know me, and I'm not going number one. Since it's an older couple, this is probably better because the children are probably grown. So the children and the grandparents or whomever other family he has can figure out how to bury him. Okay, I'm probably leaving town. I'm not even gonna be there when it's going on. I'm gone. I'm sorry. And
Shut up, my
so
boy
I'm not
bully.
gonna do it. The other thing though, say that again, fire.
Nah, not you. I'm bigging
He
up one
he was
somebody in the
somebody
comments.
on the comments that checked in. So Bully
Okay,
Pants
okay.
checked in.
So look, if it first of all, I don't know how burial and stuff goes in Guyana, but here in the United States, a burial can cost 12, 15, 18, 20, $23,000 right now. Okay?
Mm.
Mm.
You're not getting that from me. Maybe if he had, I'm sorry. No, he's not. I'm not giving it to, even if it was there, I'm not doing it.
Mm.
You know,
I'm
um,
not. I'm not doing it either.
maybe he's gonna get the 6 or 7 thousand towards cremation. But you
The
know, in Guyana,
cremation.
I don't think we used to do a lot of cremation and stuff like that in Guyana. Here in the United States, cremation is something very common, and a lot of times, even if people didn't want to be cremated, that's what have to happen because the funds are not there to bury the person.
Well,
You
let
know,
me ask this.
so a lot of people end up getting cremated. I
Let me,
remember couple this past 2 years over the pandemic, we lost uh-huh.
She get away.
her. Oh,
Yes, I think it's a
no.
delay, Shawndel. So she just
I
heard
don't
you
hear
say,
nothing. You
let
hear
you
something?
ask.
Okay, no, I will. I want to talk to Fire now because I want to
My.
switch it. Right.
Okay.
I want to switch it. That if, let's say, it's not a, not said, it's not a, it's a woman. Okay, it's your wife. Right. It says shine bright.
We're
Right.
not
Mhm.
speaking that.
Right. I'm
Mhm.
just saying. Right.
We ain't speaking
we
that.
go
Change
we
that.
go switch the thing because I want his opinion of how he would feel that if the shoe was under the foot now, use the loyal husband,
Uh-huh.
you're committed and you're
Good
doing
to go.
everything
Ready.
right, and you're providing and you're taking care and you're doing your husbandly duties, and your wife decided to step out, right, and she died in the midst of what she was doing, would you give her a funeral? Would you go there?
Bitch, you die, bitch. Give me. Sorry, that's cool. Just
See?
joking. Just joking. Nah, nah, nah. To me, like, like me, you had a conversation already, and I told you. I said,
I guess it's
I.
my turn to have technical thing tonight.
Oh shucks. Don't worry, you're gonna start out in the name of Jesus Christ. Bless everything, touch everything. Yeah. I was telling you, right? I started to men, we treat some we
It's
break.
probably because I'm being evil too.
No, you're being real, and it's and that's the thing that we want to do is be real. And a lot of times, this is why I said, with coming to do these shows and doing these lives and these podcasts and things like, I want to be honest, and I want people to share their honest view. You know what I mean? So many times we mask so many things, and a lot of people are doing that today. And I could even say probably for that lady, she probably knew her husband was doing so many things, but she was still masking it. You know, we
Hmm.
pretend like everything is okay, and we're walking around like we're not upset. But you know what I mean? You don't have to show everybody your face. You know, you don't have to. Everybody don't have to know what's going on in your home, but you're holding the faith and holding on. You know what I mean? So the little faith you have, boom, here it is. It's exposed. Now here you was in your own little world, in your own little corner, and you big, big, big on social media now. It's a different time. You know, that's why I was talking to my mom earlier and I was saying, you know, cheating back in the day,
Mhm.
everything was so secret, you know? You could do stuff and get away with it. But today now is so open. So we do have to be more careful and be more mindful of what we do, especially when we're in that light. Even though that lady and that even that lady that jumped
That's
out the hotel wasn't even trying to be in the light. The street cameras were caught her jumping out the hotel. You understand? So there's cameras everywhere. So yes, we do have to be mindful in what we do every day now. You know what I mean? And we think that we're masking and we're hiding things, but God just always have a way of exposing things sometimes, and it's not always in a good light. But in the same times, those situations can help shine light on other people. So that's where you said we said in earlier occasion where we use it as teachable moment. And it's sad that we have to be coming and bring this type of conversation or still, you know, bringing these type of conversation, but it's the reality. And we're hoping that somebody will hear it from us because remember, everybody have to reach a certain amount of people. So they might not hear before, but they might hear it now. And that
Right, and that's why when Carmen said to me that I'm better than her because she wouldn't do it, right? It's women out there that's that way, and it's women out there that say, Keisha, you stupid because I wouldn't do it. You know, all of us have our own perspective on it, and that's the reason why we're doing this collaboration and this conversation. And we want to hear from the people too, so drop your messages in the chat
Yep,
so
yep,
that we can
yep,
see
yep.
how you feel as well, because all of this, all it does is make us get stronger together, because we're stronger when we join together than we are alone. So even if in this situation Carmen and I differ, it's somebody else out there that's on Carmen's side. Shawndel is on Carmen's side, and I knew from day one, being friends with her for over 20 years, Carmen, I knew what her answer was. He ain't getting nothing. He ain't gonna get nothing, but that's Shawndel. And I know when she called me on this topic, she wanted to hear my side of it because I have a different spin. And then now we need to hear what Fire have to say, because we ain't heard you yet, Mr. Fire. You're not getting off that easy.
Bully, make sure you're checking also. No, I was trying to tell my wife that, sometimes, we could forgive, but we're not gonna forget. Now, I'm gonna
Right.
break it down like this, right? Cool. Um, in a case like this, okay, I know myself as men, we normally do a lot of foolish things by hurting the ones that we love or love us. So it's a case like this. Enough time we do foolishness and the woman have a kind heart whereby, she say, man, no scrap. Whether it's kids, whether it's the love, 'cause everybody needs a second chance, right? So I'm speaking on experience. So I remember I told you I sat out and you asked me, you said if you should, whether is if you should go out and cheat, if I would, allow you, or if I would just break up the relationship. And I told you straight up, I said no, I would forgive you, because I know that we do so much. Men, I'm speaking about, like, what I mean, we mess up so much time, and I could be like witness for that. I do a lot of foolish things in relationships already. You understand? Whereby I speaking on this level, whereby I could start to, okay, I could look at it and say, man, I forgive me, babes. But hey, guy, why you do that? This is why I do. God, must be a reason why you go and cheat on me or whether it is with somebody else. You explain it to me. I find out if I have to stop doing foolishness. Well, there's it. Now we come to the part with the going and cheat and die now.
Mhm.
You understand? Well, it's a case like Dono. Yes, I gonna vex, I gonna hurt, especially even if we have kids and you're going past away. I can still have the love inside of my heart for you, despite whatever, because we build a foundation, right? I'm not a cold-hearted person just because I know you was giving me more. Oh God, yeah, I don't give up. Yeah, she does mean got no time. But at the end of the day,
There we
if
go again.
the burial is too
I
expensive,
ain't know
then
what
we got
going
a
on.
problem. If the burial is you know what I mean, if we got the burial is a big bag, and me got the big bag, you know what I mean. Well, we got a problem. But otherwise than that, if if I have to, I would.
Yeah,
You know
but
what I mean.
and that's where I think, like, even for me before, like, I've had life insurance policy, in case you was saying, you let it lapse, right? You just don't kick. I'd be like, oh, just let the dead bury the dead, or whatever the situation is. But now that you have kids, it's the same thing. So it's like an eye opener in the
Kato,
same
big up.
instant. It's not just about the cheating or other things like that, but it's also now of securing your family in
Same
the
flames, big up.
case of something happening. It's like, do your family have the money to bury? So that's why it made me think, like, okay, like, we need to be more mindful and really getting the knowledge and understanding of how, in the case something happened, it might not be cheating, right? It might be accidental, it might be at work, it might, I was at work the other day and two of my coworkers died, you know what I mean, and fell in, they didn't have money to bury them. The guy was the provider. So in a case like that, you know but of course, everybody helped, chipped in and stuff like that, but there's many cases where they're the sole provider for their family, and then we're not thinking, of that. But it's just, and Carmen will go into that. Every packages is different and things like that, to where we can secure our family.
Think I'm
But
gonna do a poll.
in
I think I'm gonna do a poll. Do you think he should get a funeral, or do you think he should?
well, I mean, you can do the
Kato,
poll.
big up. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm gonna run a poll.
Yeah.
Kato, shout. I'm sorry for cutting you,
Yeah, but
and I just want to shout out to some of the people that logged in. You know what I mean? Because they hitting me up also on WhatsApp. Kato,
okay.
big up yourself. You're logged in right now. Kato, remember you could send your comments. You understand? You don't have a text. You understand? Send your comments. You understand? All right.
Yeah, Shawndel, you're right. As far as and I know Carmen is the boss lady on that, but as far as even those of us who are, U.S. citizens, or who have married Caribbean people and they're now U.S. citizens, there's things that they could put in place now where they could cover seven of their family members while they're here in the U.S. working. A lot of my Caribbean friends, they come here to make that better life for themselves and their families, and sometimes it may be one or two of the children that got out and here in the US working, and sending money home, and as soon as somebody die, then they the main one that's got to pick up and pay for everything, when you can get a policy and have it in place where you may be spending just a little bit of money per month. So if something happened, you don't have to have that huge load
Out of pocket.
of the entire funeral, and depending on where they are, if they here visiting you, getting the body back home is expensive. I went through it with my ex-husband, so getting that body back home, people ain't thinking about that. They thinking about, oh, I just want my picnic home. I want to bury them here. The people home, they not thinking about the dollars that you have to spend here to make that happy for somebody who's already gone. They don't even know what you're doing with them at that
I,
point.
I think what happens is, a lot of us, we don't think of debt. You know what I mean? That's like the last thing on our mind. We don't think of debt. So we're always thinking like we're gonna live forever, or we don't think of accidentals. We don't think of those things. You know what I mean? And it's just like, even on a regular job, we can have a great job and we're doing good, but most times we don't plan, because we don't think like, I might have an accident in a car, right?
Mm.
So it's like, my oldest brother, he got hurt, but now in the midst of him getting hurt, he found out that he had cancer, right? But his job was grateful or amazing in still allowing him to do his disabilities and different things like that, but they didn't have to because he didn't get hurt on the job, but he's been
Mm.
for so many years, right? So that's different things like that. We don't even think of accidental deaths and things like that. So this was a case of an accidental death, let's just say, right? But at the same time, going back to the policies and different things like that, to where Cato was texting Fire, one of his friends, and he was saying that he was actually just talking to his wife about that. If somebody dies or if we die, do we have the money to cover that? You know what I mean?
Mm.
It's a real talk that we need to sit. These are things that as partners we need to sit down and talk about. So the second part that we'll go into, and this what I was asking, because um there's many people that live home situation where they're not married, right? And it's something that we don't, like, I've never, even before I got married, I never talked about it. You know what I mean? Like, we never say, hey, we have children together. Should we get a policy in case something happened? What will happen in case you die? You know what I mean? And this guy was the same thing, hard worker, military, everything. And he had a heart attack, you know. And what happened was, so you remember now, wedding, funerals, and things like that, greed is coming. When people
Yep.
have money and no money, is get greedy, right? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So you gotta have this real conversation with your partner, even though you know everybody don't want to get married. They're good with just living home. You know what I mean?
Right.
You made that commitment to be together, and like, this is it, we don't have to get married, but we still got to talk of the what if, because if you, I'm still your partner, I'm your common law wife or common law husband. In the case of something was to happen, who's covering this?
Well, it goes deep. That goes deep, Shawndel, because it's like not only the policy, where's your will? And most people don't realize that under some of their insurance policies or some of their jobs, they can get free writing of their wills. And it's this whole stigma of let's not talk about life insurance policy because we speak in death over somebody. That's crap. At the end of the day, it's inevitable that we all are going to die at some point. We don't know when we gonna
Right.
die. So why
Correct.
not put yourself in a position where you're prepared, and if you love me and you rocking with me and we decide that we're not getting married, we don't have to be married for me to have an insurance policy on you or you to have one on me. I had this conversation with one of my friends yesterday. I said, at what time frame do you think it would be good if we're rocking and now we gonna move to living with each other, that we have the conversation about life insurance policy? He said 6 months too early. I said, boy, you stupid. I move in with you, you living with me, we got two incomes, and something happened to you. I have nothing to fall back on. No, we're gonna do that policy before we even sign a lease on the apartment. And if you ain't willing to do that, then I ain't living with you.
Yeah, but see, I've never like asked that question because, like, again, we say that's a topic that most people don't ask. You know, unless you're real wealthy, then you might have a prenup or something like that. You know, people will get into that aspect of it, but in an everyday living situation, most people don't. But again, like I said, with this young lady, um, they were doing everything together, and then every policy, whatever money, everything went to the family. And
Haynes record, big up
you
yourself,
know
bro.
what I
God.
mean, and they didn't give her anything. She only had 1 week of his salary, and that was his last paycheck that went into their joint account. So that's why I said this, or I post that on my page, because there's a lot of women that don't think like and men, I should say, that don't think about that. We don't think about that we're living together, we're not married, but it could be the other side now. It could be where the young man was doing everything and the young lady died. So I'm not gonna be just, it's just like a woman thing. I'm going
Mhm.
on a both aspect side. It can be the man that was doing everything and they had everything joined and then she died. So the family decide to take everything. So like it's like, how would you feel in a situation like that, that you have to fight against the family because you we didn't have that real conversation?
But see, that means somebody on the family had him covered, right?
It's a
Or he or the beneficiary on the job was
things happening.
somebody in the family and
Yes.
not her. And I think that whole stigma too of why you want a policy on me? What you trying to do? Kill me or something? You know what I mean? So they don't want to
Most
even.
people say that. We have
Mm-hmm.
a question. Little
We got a
baby
comment. Hold on.
11
A
said,
question.
to answer the question if a cheater deserves a funeral or not, I think yes, because the cheater doesn't belong to only you. Now, if you are asking if the person being cheated on should pay, right? If you're asking if the person being cheated on should pay. And that's the question. That's what we're saying. If the wife, not that he deserves a funeral, if the wife should pay for the funeral, is she obligated to pay for that funeral? I mean, we're not obligated to do anything, but most people would look at it in a wrong way, or would she feel, or the family
Just
feel a way, right?
before you continue, Sean, not cutting you. People, we just pinned the link. I pinned the link for you to join the live in the comment section. So if you want to join the live and let's have a conversation, you could go. So the link is in the comment section. The guests that you're seeing on the screen right now, these are our co-hosts. Yeah, this is our speakers. So you know what I mean. If you want to come across and say something and not only comment, the door is open. Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. So definitely that's what we're asking. Should she give him a funeral? How would you feel if that was you? Yes, he deserves a funeral by his family. That's just my opinion. Now it depends on, like I said earlier, depend on the situation. If I know that he was a good provider and he just made a mistake,
For
that's
four
on
years.
hands, right? But that's what I said. So when you hear now is 4 years, it's gonna make me think like this is not a one-time thing. This you was in a whole relationship. So I'm gonna need her to pay for you. I'm sorry. That's just me, right?
Trouble,
I'm gonna
trouble,
need
dede.
her to pay for you.
And
So
you know what,
because
Shawndel?
just like you was getting it every week and you was being satisfied, I need you to come up on that.
Right. You know, like you said, it's really, really situational, right?
Mhm.
Um, Even though it was a 4 year relationship, we don't know what that lady was going through even all before. Maybe she was covering up for him. Maybe a lot of Guyanese women will stay in a marriage for a long, long time because we were taught that we're not supposed to divorce. We're
Mhm.
supposed to stick by our husbands. We're supposed to do this. And a lot of us have those beliefs, and we could have been doing that. And she could have been okay with doing that until now, where everybody is involved. Everybody is looking because now it's such a public situation, right?
Mhm.
So, like you said, it's very situational. One, is their money even there? Do you even have the option to try to bury him, or does she have to now go looking for funds to bury him? I don't know who would do that. I don't even know if Keisha is gonna, with as good as she is
No,
gonna be going out
no,
looking to figure out how to go fund this funeral, right? How to find borrow, fry fish, whatever it is, to get this
Ooh, ooh,
person
ooh, ooh.
buried.
You know, Keisha already.
Well,
She got your links.
well,
no. And Carmen, you're absolutely right. Well, first of all, Keisha is one that's kind of proactive with planning, right? So trust and believe he would have been covered on the policy. So now, how much? That's the first thing. So, because I'm not going to beg, borrow, bury nobody. And you're absolutely right. If it was even with me being the one that says that I would, give him whatever he needs to have that funeral. I mean, it even goes to my ex-husbands. You know what I mean? The policies that I pay on them, I know that they are Caribbean men. I know that Even though they're working in the US, it was me behind them keeping up the policy for the family. I know that they ain't doing it. And just because things are no longer good with me and him, I love his family. They will be always be my family. So at the end of the day, if God forbid something happened to him, absolutely, I ship that body right on over there to his mother and let her deal with it. Now I ain't going over there. I'm
Right.
not going, but I'll ship it and let it be on. But if I got to beg and
We're waiting
borrow,
for
nope,
somebody.
I ain't doing it.
Keep your eye on the
Right.
comments. We up in
Okay.
the
I'm sorry.
comments.
Yes, I'm looking at the
Our
screen.
speakers, you guys could hold on. Our speakers, can you see the comments also?
I was seeing it before, but I had to switch and come down here, so
Um,
I can't see it no
okay,
more.
we're
Okay.
gonna let Shine
I had to
Bright do it.
switch
We're gonna let
devices.
Shine Bright.
Yeah, we can see it if we switch the page.
All right,
Good.
little baby 11 said, if it's a marriage and the man cheat, if the arrangements were made, I would follow through. If not, you get what I can afford. So she was,
Mm,
is what she can afford, and that's one of the things that we're saying is like, being transparent and being real open, but it also gives us the opportunity to really think. You know what I mean? Like I said, this was really the eye opener for me, because we know people cheat all day, but we never think of they cheating and then end up dying, right? We
Right.
mm,
I mean, we see this stuff on movies and stuff,
yeah,
but
yeah.
you never really think about it. But it bothered me because I'm like, damn, you know, if that was the case, you know what I mean, would I want to? But then the second time is, so many people now, we're not thinking, and we know we party and we do a lot of stuff, and we don't think of debt or how we're gonna pay for it, because we no one knows when debt comes, you know what I mean? So that is why Carmen is like, I want you to shed a little light on a little bit of the policies and things that people can offer, and then how they can reach you, so that if they have more questions, that we're not only just we're securing our family, where we have to go back to that, to where, and like Keisha said earlier, we don't want it to be a case where we feel like, oh, you trying to kill me, so there's why you want to get a life insurance policy, you know it's the
What?
reality. That's how we think,
Right.
and
Right.
then he was like, "But you and die before me, and then I ain't die before you, and then who get it?" No, it's not that. It's being realistic and really securing, because, like I said, it might not be in a situation with cheating, but it might be a case where you die at work. It might be in a car accident. So many crazy things happen in the blink of an eye, so it don't always have to be sickness either.
Right.
We will prefer the natural deaths and those things, but at the end of the day, how can we get an affordable policy or things that at least cover those things, to where we're not expensing um the cost, or need a GoFundMe page, or we need family members, or all those things. So Carmen, share a little bit to the people of how um they can, where do they start?
Right. So it's actually really a good topic, Shawndel, and I'm glad you invited me to speak. Um, and it's really good because we do not like to talk about these things, but
Right.
this situation brings it to the forefront for people to have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And the truth of the matter is that like Keisha was saying, if it was her, something would have already been in place because that's the mindset that she has. And so that's where we need to start from. We wouldn't have, someone saying, you're trying to kill me, that's why you're putting a policy on me like that, if both the husband and the wife had just about the same amount on them, right? If I have a $250,000 policy on me and you have a $250,000 policy on you, that takes out the conversation of I might be trying to kill you or something like that. The
Mm-hmm.
other thing that I want to touch on a couple of things today. And one of the things that I want to touch on is that us, our black people, we always think of life insurance just for funerals, right? And we have to get out of that mindset. We also think about life insurance. The only time we start to think about it is when something is wrong. We trying to go to the doctor. Oh my God, I don't have it. We need to stop doing that. And like you said, we don't think about we're gonna die now or whatever. It's not only that, we always think we have time. We
Mm-hmm.
always think
Right.
we can put it off for later. Oh, I'm gonna do it next week. I'm gonna do it next month. So those are the things that we have to actually change first, right? And I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna even go back even further, right? None of us will be dying without life insurance if we got it life insurance when we really should get it, which is
That's a baby.
as possible. When we get
Mm-hmm.
insurance as young as possible, it is extremely cheap,
Yep.
right? It also protects us for future, right? Now, not all life insurance works like that, but since you know it now, you want to talk with someone that has the knowledge to tell you about the different types and that also has your best interest at heart when they're doing something. Like what I mean by that, for instance, I there are people that sell final expense policies, $10,000, $20,000 to 50-year-old people, right?
Mm-hmm.
My thing is their healthy 50 is a healthy 50-year-old. They might have a 12-year-old child, children in their teens. A $10,000 or a
Not going to
$20,000
nothing.
for that person, you are not taking the best interest of that person at all and selling them that. You all you care about is you collecting a commission. Because if that's a healthy person, then they can get so much better insurance at at even better cost. Now, if they have health problems and that's all they could qualify for, then yes, because we would rather set the family up than set the family back by having to go use whatever funds they have or borrow or GoFundMe in order to bury them. I'm not talking about that. So if you have somebody that's healthy and you get a ten or $20,000 policy, what happened to their 12-year-old child? What happened to their 14-year-old child? Right? The thing of the matter is when you're in your 30s, 40s, and 50s and you have children, you could get a pretty good policy that will last you for 30 years, even if it's a term policy.
Mm-hmm.
Fees, right? You could get $100,000, and that would be the minimum I would say you should get for a couple dollars. If you're at 20, it's like less than $10 a month.
Mm-hmm.
You
If
see,
you're
and
in
that's
the
the thing, Carmen, like you said, when people sell policies for just the money. And that's why I think a lot of people shy away from it
of
because you have
course,
salespeople that's just selling it just to sell it to make that commission. And that's just like anything else. So that is the one of the things that I think a lot of people are afraid of or shy away from because even before when I've had policies and I cancel them, it was pretty high. You know what
yes,
I mean? And then when you do the calculations later, let's say I die at 90, like I've paid way over what they would give you. You understand?
right.
And I think that's where a lot of people kind of shy away from getting policies now. But that's one of the things that we want to ensure that with the knowledge that we have, that we give people the right thing. And that's one thing that I always look for in business partnerships and things like that is quality people that I trust, that I know that I don't get into certain deals or certain situations because I don't want to deal with certain people. I have so many people reach out to me with so many things, but I don't want to tie up with them because I see them only for the money. They
Hmm.
in it for the money. You know what I mean? You're not really teaching the people what they need. And then the sad part of it, what a lot of people do is the crazy thing is if you give me something for less and I know it's valuable and I know that you're doing an amazing job, I'm gonna refer more people to you. You're gonna get more money.
Hmm.
And that goes for any business, but a lot of
Yeah.
people are not thinking like that. They're just thinking of the now, like I need it now, or I
Mhm.
don't know is how the way they were coached, that is just teaching like, yo, let's get this money now,
But-
let's get this money now, let's get this money now, but you're not really giving people the knowledge and the information. So that's what I love about you. um that you share the knowledge and you share the information, but it's not to where you in need of a paycheck to where you have to survive, right? We're all in business to make money.
Right.
At the end of the day, it's not your value, is people, in giving them the best, but at the same time being real and reasonable. So that is why tonight we're hoping that this conversation takes away in everybody opening their eyes. I know it opened mind, you know what I mean, because I wasn't even thinking of in that situation, that if. So just we just think we have time, and we always think we have time.
Oh
And
yeah.
Shawndel, and Carmen said something too. I really don't want us to glaze over. When she was talking about the amount of the policy at first, when she was just using it as an example, as far as not feeling like somebody's trying to kill each other. But outside of that, she came back and she said something else. And you know how you and I always talk about generational wealth. You
Mhm.
know, she spoke on a $10,000 policy versus $100,000 policy, and then the differences in that price, maybe $5-10, depending on how young you are when you get it. So when you start looking at, she spoke on the whole cremation versus the burial. People don't realize that when you go to the cremation, yeah, it's cheaper, but what happens with those ashes? Because in Georgia they don't keep those ashes. So what you gonna do with those ashes? And are you gonna put them in a moratorium? Are you gonna get a whatever and keep it with you? All of that still is an additional cost. So after you spent, let's just say the 15,000, and you got a $20,000 policy, you got $5,000, and you got to still raise a 12-year-old. What $5,000 gonna do? It ain't gonna
Exactly.
do nothing. So she made a valid point that I don't want us to graze over with. People will be like, "Oh, I don't want to get $100,000 policy because now I gotta pay $60 a month." All right,
Right.
$60 a month. You blow that when you go to the club every week or
Exactly.
every other week, or when you buying your beer or whatever. If it's all about how you prioritize things,
Right. I
and then when she was talking about the age and what you do it, people have this stigma on not putting life insurance on babies or
yeah.
kids because we cause a calling their death. No, we not. You just being prepared. And when you have those child riders, they can ride with you to 21 on some of those policies and sometimes
Everybody.
25, and
Yeah.
then it turns into their own policy and you still ain't paying all that money.
Well,
I got one son and one grandson. So I put my grandson on my son's policy as a rider. He was a rider on mine until he became 25. Then he had his own. Then he had his son, and I put that rider on my grandson who's 6. If something was to happen, like you said, it could be a car accident. Him and his dad could be going to the store, and God forbid I could lose both of them. I still have to make sure I'm prepared,
well,
or
Yeah.
something could happen to his dad. Now, his I gotta now support a 6-year-old at 51. I ain't young. Where am I gonna get
I
all this
used to
money?
say, I used to say this, right? And I'm just gonna be honest with y'all. Before I had kids, I used to be like, "Yo, I don't care if I die. Y'all just gotta find the money and bury me. That's just it." I didn't.
A lot of people
Just
say
make proof. Alright.
But that's before I had kids. When I was younger, and my mom would always say, should not get a policy or different things like that. And I had before I had, Lexi and different things. So, you had it through your job, but like an additional policy and stuff like that. And I used to be like, when I die, I dead. Well, they gotta find money. And a lot of people think like that.
they
Um,
still do. People,
before
Yeah.
a
Uh-huh.
we
lot of
just
people still do
we
think like,
just we just run a poll right now. If you guys look, they got a poll we run whereby we just ask you guys if should you get a funeral if you die or not. So let's go ahead. What I mean,
okay,
Carmen, can you speak
okay,
on
then,
Carmen, can you speak on, because Shondell said something about the insurance at work. Can
Yes,
you speak on how that don't go with you if you get fired? And
that's
then
true.
put the money in that policy. Can you talk on that?
Oh
All right.
yeah. And so that's the other thing. When life insurance, if you wanna end the conversation, bring up life insurance,
Mhm.
right? People run from the conversation of life insurance. It's like, oh no, I already have life insurance. And if you listen, they probably have it at work. Life insurance at work, probably number one, most of the times it's one times your salary, right? So if you're making $25,000 a year, $50,000 a year, it's just that. And that's awesome to have. But if you get laid off, if you get fired, if the company needs to cut back, they don't have to give you life insurance. That's one of the things that can be cut, and it's gone. The other thing that you said, Shonda, was the thing where people say, well, if I die, you're going to just have to find money and bury me. Here's the thing: what if you don't die? What if you got in the car accident, but here you are, you just cannot work, you can't feed yourself, you cannot clothe yourself, you need somebody to come and wash your body, you need you need what if that's the thing that is going on, right?
That's sad.
Life insurance now comes with what is called living benefits. So
Mhm.
even if you don't die, if you become chronically ill and you're unable to perform things like bathing yourself, clothing yourself, dressing
Mhm.
yourself, moving from one place to another, you are able to access your policy early, right? So if you have a $500,000 policy, you can pull off 100,000 to continue to live, or depending on the type of if you had an injury, they can send you the money monthly so that you could continue to pay the mortgage and the children could continue to get food and stuff like that, because once you are, you're the asset there, you're the money wheel there, you're paying for everything, so you need to be insured. And it's not only in case you die. And then
Awesome.
Keisha, I want to talk about what you said when you said um about the life insurance on children. A lot of people think that that is taboo. Yet every single day we get children dying in their own school. People gone in there and shoot them and all sorts of things, right? Um,
Mhm.
the thing about it is that you can, especially if you can afford to do this. Now, there's policies where you can just get a little 10, 20, 30, $50,000 policy on a child. There's also times where you can put the child, like you said, as a rider on there. Let me tell you what is even more powerful, especially if you're able to do it. You get a life insurance policy, you know that it's minimal dollars going toward life insurance, but the rest of the money that you're putting in there becomes a savings vehicle for that child. Now, when that
Mhm.
child is ready to go to college, you can pull money from there for him to go to college. When that child wants to start a business, this now becomes for college funding, business funding. Whether they're getting married, you can pull money from there. Whether they're, and the great thing about it is that when they apply for aid for FAFSA, it doesn't count. That is private. It's a way to
Oh,
hide the money that you have, because that doesn't count as part of your assets and how much you have to put forward before they would even help your child. So many wealthy people utilize this because they can hide money there basically, and
right.
the child still get benefits
Uh,
Okay.
because it's not a
That's
part, it doesn't count a part of their financial portfolio.
it,
That's awesome. And the whole thing about the one at work, I had to learn the hard way, because I've been with the company for over 23 years. I'm at three times my salary. I get laid off, and husband, child, all underneath. That's a group policy. And
Yes.
that group policy in, it doesn't matter that I've been paying into this thing for 23 years.
Nope.
You know what I mean? I lose it. What if I didn't have the one outside? I
Right.
have the one outside. I'm just lucky enough that my mother, she that's how she trained us. You know, she had those policies on us from children. You know,
Right.
that's just how she trained us, so it just carried over with me. So I've always taken it out at work, but I never let the one outside lapse, because that one at work, that's depending on how long you work for them. If you
That's
retire from them, you don't have it
gone.
anymore. And you
Exactly.
retiring at 65, now who gonna insure you?
Exactly. Right.
Cause
And that,
you gonna have high blood pressure, diabetes. You gonna have something.
Yo, I
You're
love this.
not gonna be able to afford it.
Learning. I'm
So,
learning. I'm learning. I'm learning. I'm
and
learning.
mhm,
and it's same thing. It's changed a lot, and earlier what you said of how you can utilize it for your college. You can pull it out if you need it in case you get sick and different things like that. So that's definitely, times has definitely changed. They're
yeah.
definitely bringing, so we definitely need to make that aware. What we're going to do after this show, um what can we do, as for, like you said, I guess, as far as now that you're not married though, right? How does that play in, but you have children together?
Yeah. And so basically, I know someone had commented that anybody can get a policy on anybody. Well, that's sort of true. It's not really true. There has to be what is called insurable interest. So if you have two people that are living home together, that's just like marriage. So if one something happens to one, that income is gone. So that's what life insurance is about. It's typically about replacing income, right?
mhm.
Replacement income, and really creating an instant estate, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wealthy, wealthy people, no matter how wealthy people are, they still get life insurance, and a lot of times they're getting life insurance just to cover the taxes on their estate, right? And
Okay.
we're talking about people who have, you know, if they're married, over $11 million, right? They still get life insurance to cover the taxes on the estate, because they want that money to go to their heirs. They don't want the people to have to come out and pay that money to the government. So when we take out money, when we take out, even if you're not married, if you're living together, on there now there's parts that says significant other or partner. So it might be husband, mother, sister, brother, all those, but now you also have significant other, partner, or a space for you to write in. So if you are a single lady, well, if you're kind of single, but you live in a married life, you can take out insurance on him, and it should be vice versa, because nobody is exempt from getting into an accident.
Right.
Nobody is exempt from all stuff in the stroke. Shawndel talked about her brother. He got in an accident, and when he was there, that's when they found out something was wrong with him. That's
Mm-hmm.
not the
Crazy.
first time that I've heard that. Many people go to the doctor because of something else, and then they found out it's a blessing in disguise, actually, because they
Yes,
found
that
something.
was for
They
him.
found something else. But by the time you find this, right? By the time you find it's nobody is gonna insure. People are gonna insure you, but it's gonna be expensive and it's gonna be minimal. So that's the reason why we get insurance as young as possible. But I'm talking to people like you, Keisha, you have a young adult son, as soon as if you didn't do it before, if you didn't do it when they were two, actually when they were 2 weeks old, if you didn't start then as soon, if whatever age they are now, that's when you start. And even if
Mhm.
that kid is 18 or 20, it's going to cost you $12 a month to put $100,000 on a healthy 20-something-year-old. Why wouldn't you do that?
And
Because
they
it's
don't even
something.
put in physical requirements for them.
Right.
so they don't have to do the physical. So I
It,
mean, it's
it,
just
it,
like common sense to just pay that $12, because these teenagers are crazy, and you never know what's gonna happen. Look at this guy, 28 years old, where he did the mass
right. I
shooting
was just
downtown.
gonna say that.
You
I
know,
was
you
say that he just took the life of one or two people, right? And who knows if they were planning for it, right? Um, the 12-year-old kid here that got up and left his house while his parents were sleeping, went downtown to wherever, and then got shot with whomever else that he went with and passed away. These things are things that we really do need to think about and do something about. Even if you can't afford to put, 50 or $100 in one of those types of policies that those life changing type of policies that I'm talking about. You can pay, if you're a grandmother, you can pay $4 a month, $4 a month, and get a policy on your 4-year old, your 5-year old, your 6-year old, 20,000 or whatever. Anything that, because when something happens, you're the one that they're going to look to,
hmm
to be able to do that. And you're going to have to either go into your retirement funds or go get a job at Walmart and those kind of things. So that's why this conversation is super super important.
Yeah.
I
But
love it, man. I love it.
yeah, and it was unfortunate the reason why we brought it, but it's really good, and my hat is off to Shawndel because um she could have had this conversation without even talking about life insurance. But she is doing something here. Shawndel and Leon and Shawndel, they are educating the public, and that is important. And they're starting conversations, and that is important. You
Exactly.
know,
And they're starting those conversations that we as African American people, I don't care where we come from, don't want to have it.
we don't want to have.
And they and it's real, and I always support them, and I'm so very proud of them for bringing these conversations, and then bringing on people like you, where this is your business. We can definitely make sure that Shonda, I know Shondella drop your contact information,
Definitely
and
will
and,
drop it
and
in
yep,
the
so
comment
that
package.
we
So,
can
mm-hmm.
Yeah,
start reaching out and start having those conversations with you, and they can see that it is not that expensive,
it's
and it's better to be in a situation where you got to cut out that one club week a month and pay for that it when something happens, because it's gonna happen. That's the thing that
one
To
trip
cut
to
out the week,
McDonald's.
they just
One trip to McDonald's. All right. Two
right.
trips to Starbucks and two coffee trips. If you think about spending $5 a day at Starbucks, 5 days a week, that's $25. That's $100 a month. That's $1,200 a year. We
Wow.
can, and you can definitely insure for a couple hundreds of thousands of dollars with that, if we're looking at term policies, if we're looking at leaving a real legacy. Something else I got to talk about, because many people that are listening to us are business owners, and business owners are chief people that are without insurance, because you're in the business of minding that business, of putting in the money for everything else. And typically, that's one of the last things that we'll think about. So, business owners, that's another thing that I want you guys to think about, is making sure that you insure the most important asset of that business, and that is you.
You. hmm
definitely. I want to say thank you, Lady Keisha. Thank you, Boss Lady Carmen. I really appreciate you guys for coming on tonight. Um, our first podcast. Shout
I
out to
know, right?
No.
our viewers.
Spicy. It was good
Definitely.
information.
That's what we
Mm-hmm.
said. Our
Mm-hmm.
new channel is Shawndel and Leon Family fun,
Fun.
and life.
Yeah,
So
man.
we're gonna show you guys the fun side. You guys gonna see the kids. You guys gonna see our not every day, cause I ain't here with this every day trying to be on, but
They're
I
killing me
definitely
already. They're like, yo, one, y'all ain't posting nothing no more.
right.
We're going out with you.
We
Say,
definitely
hold
want to
on.
give you guys life changing things, and I think that's one of the things that we need to come back to, where not just situations happen, but we want to give people solutions. That is the one thing that I want our show to impact, and I kept saying that the fact
Definitely.
everything that we do, we must have an impact in the lives of people, and also us.
And it's a pleasure having you guys as our speaker, not only our guests.
Yes.
So I just want to let you guys know that you guys are our co-hosts. So with whatever information, whatever idea, whatever we gotta bring to the platform to teach people, like we say, life fun. And you don't know I want family. So we
Yes.
family,
Family.
we gonna let them know about life. Why is we have fun? You get me going?
Right.
And you
Correct.
know what I want to say, look, as we are teaching and giving and educating. The other day I got a call from a client who's she had taken out a policy on her father, which by the way, that's another thing that we need to think about. If
Okay.
you are gonna be the breadwinner, the person you're the breadwinner, you're the one that gonna come to if you got an elderly parent that may pass, you and your siblings may want to get a policy on your mom, on your dad, on whomever is you're going to be
Mhm.
responsible for that funeral, whether it's an uncle or an aunt, an elderly person you're taking care of. Now, them in those cases is where I have no problems with you getting a final expense policy for them.
Mhm.
Depending on their age, you may have to pay $100 or whatever, but if you count it up, for the most times, if take the person is 60 years old, they may live till 90 or something like that. Figure out what you're gonna pay and what it is, and do it. And even if they are already ill, right? Because I've
Mhm.
had several people that I have insured that had dialysis, that had oxygen, COPD, and they were older, but um, most companies wouldn't insure them. But you guys see on the commercials that says, it doesn't matter what you
What you
have, we
have.
will insure you for 9.95. Well, it's a little bit misleading because 9.95 is per unit. So 9.95 might be for $500 worth of insurance. So if you really wanted 10,000, you would have to multiply that 9.95 20 times. So it's about $200 a month. But
Okay.
most people will call and say, "Do you want? I want the 9.95 insurance." Well, actually, you might want to call me because you're gonna get it for less than 9.95. Like you're probably gonna get it for 7.95.
Mm.
But that's only for a unit. That's not for a $10,000 policy. That might be for $1,000. That might be for $500. So you have to multiply that unit by the amount that you want. But what I was really going to say about this particular client is she asked me if her father would be able to relocate to Guyana if we had a policy on him here, and because we had a policy on him here. And the truth is, they don't care where you die. If for some companies will ask, "Are you going to relocate outside of the country?" and things like that. You have to answer them honestly, and they will decide if they will handle the thing. But I, for one specific company that we had this question asked, and I went back and asked them, the guy has a policy maintaining. If he decides to relocate to Guyana and then he passed, they just need the same way it would happen here, where they would think the only thing is you would have to have an American bank account for them to deposit the money into the American bank account. And most likely it's the one that you're paying the premiums from. But I just thought that that was important because many of our seniors decide, I want to go back home.
Back
Sound
home.
good.
And then find
Mhm.
a situation. Is my
Not
insurance?
cutting your boss, lady. I'm the only child for my mom. So this, yo, no rum. I love this information here because
Yes.
just
Yeah.
the other day I telling my wife, I was like, I don't know if God forbid it, I don't want it to happen now, but how could I go towards getting things done, like burying her or getting life insurance or whatever is the case, and
Mhm.
I'm telling you guys, to the viewers that is viewing right now, listen me. This is teaching for you guys because a lot of us right now, we don't think so deep in life.
Mm-hmm.
We don't think we think about life, but
Yeah.
no, we don't think about death. And when it comes to death, you gotta got certain requirements when it comes to burying or putting your family loved one to rest in the proper way. So you don't want to meet in a situation whereby you're left like what? You hear people telling you about this, you hear people like you're explaining to us this, that, this, and then you're like, well, I don't know. So viewers, please put this in the back of your head. This is something that you guys need to know right now, straight. And I'm loving this because I'm gonna share this with my mom also. So continue, ladies.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Carmen too. Also, I think it's important for you to speak on the fact that just because I bought the policy today and I list my ailments, it doesn't make it enforceable right away. It's a date. I mean, it's this happened when unfortunately when my father passed away. He waited too late to get the policy, and because he listed, it's very important that you list everything that's wrong with you, because if you don't list it and you die of something that it wasn't listed, then they can deny the policy. So they what you call it, they contested the policy was contested, but of course my mother had already had him, still covered under her policy.
Mm-hmm.
So we used that one to bury him. And because everything was listed when I filled out the paperwork for him, they paid out, even though he didn't even meet it, he didn't have it for a year. So technically they wasn't supposed to, because it wouldn't have been a year until July, and he died in May. But because I listed all his medications and everything that was wrong with him, they contested it. When they got the death certificate, they saw that, it was a heart attack, natural causes or whatever, and he had already listed the heart problems, that they eventually paid the money. But I mean, you're the expert on it, and I love the way you explain it. But that's another thing that people have to keep in mind when you keep on talking about you got time to wait with these elderly people. They got to live that year,
Mm-hmm.
and if they're
Well,
already sick.
yeah. So you're absolutely right, but it all depends on the type of policy that you get. So there is a policy where they don't ask any health questions, okay? There's a policy where they don't care what you have. You can have AIDS, and I have clients that have AIDS. You can have be on a dialysis, you can have whatever. They don't ask any health questions. You just have, once you're over age 50 in most of the states, you get covered. They will cover you regardless of what you get. But those kind of policies are called guaranteed issue, meaning no matter what you have, they are guaranteed to issue you that policy. But those policies typically come with what is called a 2 year waiting period. So you have to live for more than 2 years in order to get the entire amount of the policy. Now, why is
Hmm.
that policy still important
Wow.
for people? Here it is. Even if they don't live for the full 2 years,
I'll
they
still get
still
something.
they still get back all the premiums that they have paid plus 10%. Well, there are no banks that are paying you 10% interest.
Nope.
So what you're doing when you do that, you're actually basically starting a savings account at
Out.
10% interest. So it's important that you go ahead and do that, especially if you got to 60, 70, 75, and you didn't have a policy, you most likely ain't gonna save now. But
Right.
so now that's a good way to save. As long as you go past, if you got a $10,000 policy, as long as you go past the 2 years, they're gonna pay out the full 10,000. Right now, there are other policies which are also final expense policies, but they're day one coverage. Day one. So let's say you got the policy today, and next week you drop dead, they can still pay, but they can contest within the first 2 years just to see if you told the truth.
Right.
If you told the truth,
They
then they
pay you.
gotta pay,
Yep.
regardless of if you only made one payment. It could be a
Wow.
$50,000 policy and you only made a $200 payment. As long as you told the truth, They have to pay that $50,000,
And I'm
regardless if
glad you said that because telling the truth is the key.
yeah.
And people think, oh, let me leave this off so I can pay less. No, you messing yourself up because
Well,
when you list everything, yeah, they're gonna send you that letter to say it's contested and we're doing our investigation. And when they do and get the reports from the autopsy in the hospital or whatever, and you listed it, they pay you. It may take you a little bit longer, but they pay it.
so two things else on that guaranteed policy that I told you about. Even though for it says you have to live for 2 years, if you die by accident in a week,
No,
they will
yeah,
pay it out.
It will
No,
pay.
they
yeah.
don't. It doesn't matter what if whether thing. So that's another reason why it's important to get that policy and use it as a savings for the first 2 years, and knowing that you're gonna get back all your money plus 10% premium is like getting free insurance, and then if you go past the 2 years, they pay in full. If you die by accident, they also pay in full. The other
Hmm.
thing is um where the if you the other one where it's day one kind of coverage, it's not a good idea anymore. It used to be okay, not okay for real. It used to be you. Oh, I should say it this way. You used to be able to get away with lying. You can't anymore
Hmm.
because everything is computerized. So all your prescriptions, they already know what you take. So it's like the
Hmm.
government. We're asking you questions, but we already know the answers. We
Mm,
want to make sure you're gonna tell us the
That
truth.
is the truth.
So
Hmm.
they can always tell what prescriptions. I have submitted many policies when applications, and they come back and ask me, "Oh, why did your client go to the hospital on this day?" Oh, they're like, "Oh God, I didn't even remember that I did that." Or why? What is this medication for? Or those kind of things. So it's absolutely important for you to be honest with the person, but most of the times they will already know you're lying because they have when you go to the doctor. And if you guys listen to my show, I have a show every Wednesday. I hadn't been able to talk. Y'all can hear my scratchy, so I've been off for a little bit. But and every Thursday, and I share all these things, and I tell people, I say, many of us we go to the doctor and the doctor tells us, oh, you have it's your pre high blood pressure or pre this, and they give you medicine. And what most of us do, we go home, we gonna exercise, we're gonna do whatever, we ain't taking that medicine. But if that doctor sent that medicine through the prescription to the pharmacy, it's gone on your record already. If
But
you are
how?
the kind of person that's gonna do that, you're gonna tell them, just give me the prescription myself and let me fill it. That way, if you choose not to fill it, it's not on your record like that. So,
Hmm.
Got a
and
question.
you could go and do your exercise and whatever, and get your blood pressure back to where it's supposed to be, or your blood sugars back to where it's supposed to be, and that's not a part of your thing. But those are the kind of information that I share on my show, so you guys can always listen to me. You could always hit me up on Facebook, on Instagram, any which way, and I'll answer questions or whatever.
So we're definitely gonna drop your link in this podcast. We're gonna drop the website. We'll drop your social media page.
You know.
We want to say thank you again for all of this great information.
Hmm.
Definitely an eye opener, like I said, knowledge for me as well, because times have definitely changed. Even the policies have changed that you can hear. So it's something that can work for every one of us. One of the things, like we said, being truthful, and that's the same thing. So sometimes being truthful could prevent a lot of things. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So being truthful ain't had to have you jumping out that
The
hotel
window.
window.
I knew you was gonna bring it back.
Back to that, right? But definitely, we want to say thank you guys, everybody, for tuning in tonight. Thank you for our first podcast.
Yeah, congratulations,
Yes,
y'all.
and I could not be
Congratulations.
more excited.
So
Yes.
before we get overwhelmed with the excitement, I
Mhm,
want to ask our speakers,
mhm.
that's our co-hosts and us, what day are we going to be finally doing it? Are we going to drop it on a Friday or
We can see what's if y'all want to, we'll talk after
All
the
right, cool.
show. So
Because I'm
then
excited.
we'll
I'm
give
excited too.
enough. We'll give enough time,
I'm
but it's
excited too.
gonna
Thank
be
you.
different, different topics, and we're gonna add different
Definitely.
speakers and different things like that to the show. But they're always our number one guests because
Woo, woo,
Yeah.
so
Carmen, you know I love being first.
yes,
right.
You know.
Listen,
definitely,
I want to tell you something.
yeah.
Fire said earlier, he said, we all about life. We don't ever want to think about that. And I want to leave y'all with this. I sell life insurance that you don't have to die to use. There you go.
There you go. You're definitely right because you can use it for anything. Sickness, so many things have changed, and that's why I love it. But at the same time, I thank you, Miss Grippy, for jumping on that window that opened up my eyes, to look in so many aspects and so many things. So this was an amazing show tonight,
Yeah, man. Definitely,
and
definitely. And shout out to all the persons, all our viewers. Please do hit that subscribe button. If you have not subscribed, I said, and put your notification bell on all so you'll be notified when we come live or when we drop a review, a vlog, we should say, with the
right.
family. But nevertheless, the co-host, the speakers, I love you guys. Avex chosen gonna tune in tonight, but we're gonna catch you. You understand?
Yeah.
You know he's get schizophrenic when he see too much woman. You don't hear
Yes.
last night. You want me over, you want me you always what you freaking the women there, mumble?
But
Just
we're
be strong.
definitely where we post topics and different things like that. We'll have more other people. Like again, this technology is so amazing to where, like Fire said earlier, when you click that link,
That we
that
put in the
blue
comment.
highlighted
Mhm.
link, it actually gives you room to join the video live as well. So you guys don't have to be afraid. So you can always text your comments the same way. But if you want to have a voice and a
Right.
vocal point
That's it.
and you want to shed light
That
in
link is right there.
that is right there. So we're always gonna have that there in all of our podcasts. So
Well, it's Minister One. I think I'm gonna have some fun. Did I just I'm gonna sleep? I
Well,
love
guys,
you.
thanks for
I love
having
you
me.
guys.
Great show. Good night.
good night.
Yeah,
Thank
good
I
night.
should say good morning, right?
Right.
All right, people. Until next week, we out. Big up Keisha, big up Boss Lady, everything all right. You don't know the thing. Go peace and love. We out of
Right,
here.
good night. Bye bye.
you.
Okay, sis.
Mhm.